Okay, as a result of the storm, which you saw in my live stream this morning that I put up just for a few minutes, this could be getting some interference. Boy, I sure talk about that a lot. I'm not seeing any activity here showing that it's actually going on the YouTube as a live stream, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. There we go. All right, everybody, thanks for coming in. Hey, today is the 22nd of February, 2023. I'm Roy Potter, of course, and I can't believe I got to do another one of these, but I do. And I'm doing it now because the redacted, hello everyone as you come in. I don't have my laptop beside me here because I don't want to be on that long, and you'll see why here in just a few minutes. Well, I'll just tell you. Uh, Clayton and Natalie Morris of the redacted will be up at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, which is less than an hour away, and I don't want to bite into that time. You need to go watch that today. Again, it's The Redacted on YouTube with Clayton and Natalie Morris. I do not have a link for anything I'm going to talk about right now in the description box. I put those links in the previous video that I did to this one on the live. Uh, Hello, great. I'm glad to hear it's good sound, Jesse. Thank you. Uh, so let me start off there. The video live stream that I put up this morning in the snow, people say I look like Darth Vader or one of the Sith Lords. Well, you stand out in that stuff. It's circling around, it's blowing. We've got, 2 feet of snow already, and they're saying we're going to have 4 before this is done. But at any rate, that video is called DoD Responsible for EUA. Now, EUA stands for Emergency Use Authorization. That is in the video previous to this one on the live stream part of my channel, okay, the live part of my channel. In the description box of that video are 3 links. Why didn't I put them in this video? YouTube won't let me. Can you believe it? The way I was going to do it is I have it on another part of my phone in one of my logs. So I went there to copy it and to place it into this video in the description box so there'd be another place for you to go get it. And they're gone. They're gone. Roy, was that operator error? No. Somebody else removed them. So I got worried and I thought, wow, is the video I put up this morning, DoD Responsible for EUA, is it still up? Well, as of right now it is. And the 3 links are in that video. So I thought, okay, I'll try to copy those and put it in the description box of this one. Guess what? No go. It won't do it. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you that it's very likely that the DoD Responsible for EUA video may not be up that long, okay, that I did. Plus, the links that I have in the description box of that video might not be available for very long, one of which is an interview by redacted Clayton Morris with Sasha Latipova. I don't want to get into a whole lot of information there because I want this to go up, at least to get to a few people, and those who record this when I do it at least get a chance to do that. So let me go ahead and get started on what's going on here in my estimation. I said this morning that I was concerned about the use of the word countermeasures in the DoD documents in regards to the treatment for the extent sickness. You all follow me? And then this Sasha Latipova, if you go listen to my video from this morning, DoD Responsible for EUA, and if you go listen to the links in that video description box, it'll give you background information about that this entire thing was actually run out of the Department of Defense. Now, I haven't been able to verify everything there. I doubt that I can. But considering how the DoD has been used to be, you all should probably know that there are 3 power centers, right? There's Washington, D.C., which is the what? The military arm of the NWO. London, which is the financial arm of the NWO. And then most people say that the Vatican is the spiritual or the religious arm of the NWO. I'm not going to argue with anybody about that last one, okay? But there's something going on there. The point is that we've talked about those three power centers. So I had a friend some time ago, very well placed, who told me, Roy, you realize that the personification of evil. I'm just using some code here. There was the personification of the Son of God. There was the personification of God in the flesh. People talk about that. Okay, read between the lines. There's also a personification of evil. I'm not going to mention here because I'm trying to cut down the possibilities of this video getting censored. The personification of evil, whether it's a group or a single individual, realize that they have to get control of the American military. As Dwight D. Eisenhower said in his departing speech in 1959, 1960, I guess it was, he warned against the military-industrial complex and the acquisition of power by basically bureaucratic agencies, okay? And how dangerous that was, that power would be unchecked. He actually called it at first the military congressional industrial complex. Well, I don't know that he didn't see the rest of this as how it was going to develop, but I've talked about it a lot. The motto of my channel, the intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. What you have to understand is that the Department of Defense is part of the intelligence community that I'm speaking of. So now we call it the Military Intelligence Security Congressional Industrial Complex. DoD is at the forefront of this, and I've realized that for some time. You can see how retired generals, for instance, I don't want to name any here right now. Like I say, I'm trying to cut down on the chance of this being centered. Get up and talk CIA talking points. And the DoD and the CIA are, I mean, you hear some of these commentators say, well, there's a group in the Department of Defense and the Pentagon that are trying to stand up against what the bureaucracies, particularly the State Department and the White House, and I'll mention Victoria Nuland in particular, who's a very wicked, evil woman, if she's even I guess she is a woman, female, let's put it that way. And that kind of ilk, okay? But I'm not certain that there's that enmity between the DoD, anybody in there of any significance. They might be able to put up a few barriers on a couple of the crazy things that are going on, like certain weapon systems to other nations, if you can read between the lines. But by and large, the DoD is compromised, not to protect Americans. Prima facie evidence, southern border, okay? Prima facie evidence, they're over there using ISIS 1 minute, fighting ISIS the next, formulating, I mean, I could just go on, okay? And I won't do that. Where I need to go is here. In the documents that Sasha Latipova brought forward, you need to go look at those 3 links in the prior video's description box. Again, I cannot post them here. They won't let me. I can't do it. Look at those 3 links. At the very least, if they're gone there now, go to the redacted show from the other day where it talks about the DoD covering the EUA. Okay, go to that, or you can just search for, I hope, the redacted interviews Sasha Latipova. It's spelled S-A-H-A. That's the first name. Last name is Latipova, Latypova. I had problems with that this morning. I was out in the snow. It was blowing around. I didn't quite get it straight. Her real name apparently is Alexandra Latipova. You can also go that way, but her nickname, I guess, is Sasha. Anyway, so in these documents that she brought forward, the DoD and their contracts and in their other documents that she has, and also in her research investigations into this, the DoD calls the treatment, the extent treatment, which it has been working on along with a group of other people since, according to the documents, get this, 2013. Now, I've told you that this whole thing was not made up in 2020. They didn't respond in 2020 and come up with this miracle thing like Trump likes to say, some miracle that he did. No, actually, as I point out in my community post, if you want to go to that above, I guess it's on this side as you're looking at me. Go up to the top there, home, videos, live, all that. Go to community, click on that, and the post there will be with basically the information from the redacted, and actually it's the Rumble account interviewing Sasha Latipova, and you can look at that, and then you kind of get a better idea about what's going on. But I make a point in that article, that comment that I make there, that this word of this thing of countermeasures is very sinister. There's something wrong here, and this is the point I'm going to make. If this whole thing was planned, which obviously it was since at least 2013, then number one, Trump assembling all those military people up there and saying that this is the calm before the storm. Military people there think the DOD being involved in this entire thing, and I'm going to tell you why I think they've been involved in it from the beginning, along with the intelligence community and those in power. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Trump said that. Trump was familiar with the fact that there were some changes being made to the immunization regulations, and he signed an executive order in 2020, September of 2020. I think it was 2020. It may have even been 2019, about the new flu investigations, the new flu procedures. Again, I'm trying to get around some issues here, okay? Somebody can post it if you want. I have not done that, but the fact is he signed it, okay? And it was about advanced procedures. Let me just put it that way, okay? Searching for advanced procedures and allowing certain things to happen. Okay, so he did those two things. Then he put a general in charge. If you remember this, he said he was going to have the military deliver it in a big way. The military again. This goes back to showing that the DOD's been involved in this, if not the original agency from the very beginning. And then trying to point at China. I'm not saying China wasn't involved, but there's some real questions on this whole thing now. But at any rate, you have this situation with this general, I think his name is Varnas or something like that, who was in charge of the distribution. And Trump made sure that that was the situation. Then we have Trump saying that he's the father of this miracle and that he saved hundreds of millions of lives. That's the background. I don't think Trump is innocent in any of this. And I've said that for a long time. They needed someone who could bring along the conservative movement to submit themselves to this entire mess. Now we get to the countermeasures. What are the real countermeasures that the DOD's talking about using here? What are they a countermeasure for? Well, what is a countermeasure? In military parlance, a countermeasure is something you do to influence something else, to stop an attack, to respond to an attack, or to do something that you figure you need, and I'm using very general terms here, something that you figure you need to do to protect your power. I'm going to go that far with it. So I saw this countermeasures thing and I'm going, okay, well, Sasha explains that as being that they couldn't call it a, here we go, trying to avoid the words, an inoculation. It's the other word though, okay? They didn't want to call it that because if they did that, they would have to submit to all these regulations. Well, not really, but if you're trying to hide what you're really doing, you don't want to get too far away from the truth. It's like I said, the evil side will tell you 99 lies to get, I mean, 99 truths to get one lie by. Okay, well, that's the same thing here. You don't want to be so far away from the truth that it becomes obvious. So they had to come up with a way that they could use a system where they're not having to go through all of the standard regulatory procedures in order to be called a thing that's called an inoculation, but by another word. You got that? So what they called it is a countermeasure, which is a warfare term. So they're doing a countermeasure in a situation of war. So they were able to get by all this other stuff and hide it, camouflage it, if you will. It's the ultimate type of thing in the information war, in the psychological warfare program, to cover what you're really doing. Okay? So I looked into a few more things, and I'm speculating here a little bit, but considering where we've seen this thing go and what we've found out over the last 2 years by those who are researching the ingredients of these treatments, we know that there's nanotech. That's as far as I'm going to go with it. And there are other things that have been put in it. A lot of people are suffering as a result of what's been put in there. And all of those objects are a system that helps you to become a walking communications device, both to send and receive information. If you understand where the NWO and the WEF is going in the future with digital money, digital surveillance, and all of that, you won't have to carry a phone around anymore. Even Harari talks about, and for that matter, Elon Musk talks about it. I'm not sure where Elon's coming from. I don't know where he might be doing it because he just likes to have access to information, or he might be sinister. But Harari is certainly sinister, and so is Klaus Schwab. And they're talking about chips in the brain eventually, so that they can access you. You'll have your free will taken from you. There is no more free will. Harari has said that. Anybody that's been listening to me or those who have talked about this whole thing will know what I'm talking about. Well, so do they really need a brain chip? Well, in these extant treatments, there is this nanotech, and one of them has a self-assembling structure to it, and we've talked about that. So you become, like your fingerprint, you become an independent individual identification card. Your actual body does. What does that do for the Department of Defense and the intelligence agency? When you do a countermeasure, you're doing a countermeasure to confront, to stop, or defeat an enemy. The propaganda push was that they were fighting a sickness. In fact, what are they mounting this countermeasure for, this entire surveillance system and control grid? What is it they're mounting the countermeasure against? What's the enemy that they're looking at? Not a sickness, ladies and gentlemen. You. I'm going to go back to scripture here for just a minute, but it makes sense. A lot of people call it the awakening, right? That's happening now. The world's awakening to the evil. The apocalypse, the revealing, which is what apocalypse means. But if there's anything to the scriptures, or if there's anything to our development as children of God, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this type of an explanation, but if you don't like this explanation, just figure, that we're gaining more knowledge and intelligence. A certain group of us, not the whole world. A lot of them. I look at the crazy people walking around with things over their faces, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So this isn't everybody, but they know that there is a significant group of people that are not controllable, are not tameable. And one of the ways to divide them out is to see who goes along with the program. So the countermeasure does two things. Those who they know will go along with the program easily accept it, and they can identify them right away. Those that don't are identified similarly. What just happened in New York City? New York City submitted the fingerprints of those in the school system that did not want to go along with the treatment to the FBI, which eventually, of course, ends up in the intelligence community, which is also the DoD. So the DoD is also identifying, in this situation, Americans that are not going along with their program. So the countermeasure does it by omission and commission. Sinister. Remember, Harari and these people that are talking about this program are saying, you're not going to have an individual thought anymore. You're not going to have free will anymore. What was that, Jesse? I got to see what that says. Yeah, we're damned old deplorables. Okay, so they don't want you to have free will. They don't want you to have your own thoughts, or the thoughts that you do have, they want the AI to read you and know what you're going to do next. Whether you're going to go along with the powers that be or not. Whether you're going to go along with this personification of evil, call it Satan, if you will. Satan's not the real term. I'll use Lucifer, even though you know that I know that's not the name. Okay, you know that. But you get the idea. And the entire world started to go along with it. This is one of the reasons why I have a little problem with Chuck Baldwin's idea that the preterism of Revelation was only up until the destruction of the temple. Because this, for instance, the deceiving of the entire world by the use of pharmakia did not happen in this type of a way, or in this grandiose way, in 70 AD. So, ladies and gentlemen, the countermeasures are designed to defeat an enemy. And it's not the virus, a warfare agent. The warfare agent is the treatment. And it's designed to defeat you. Your free will, your liberty, even your life if you step out of line. It's the ultimate security surveillance system. Just what I said today, they might take this down. That's what the countermeasure is to those who would not go along with, or may even possibly stand up against the evil that the governments want to institute. And the DoD has been taken over by the personification of evil. Matter of fact, the entire intelligence community, as I said, is that. I wanted to put out that warning before Redacted comes on today, that information. And I'll close with this. Two things I'll close with. The first is, again, if you want to see, and you can search this on the internet as well, go to the last video I did called DoD Responsible for the EUA. Go in the description box of that, and you can go to those links and study the information, including the interview of Redacted with Sasha there, and get a quick briefing about what's going on. It's about 15 minutes, I think. But the documentation that's there is very important to look at, too. And I've included her Substack site and some other things. Okay? That's number one. Number two, on a lighter note, yes, I'm growing a beard. I noticed that on the chat the other day. Somebody says, "What's that going on Roy's face there? Is he growing a beard?" Well, it's at the very beginning stages, so it's very sparse. It's not filled in yet. But yeah, I decided it was time. I had one. I've had it twice before. Once back in the mid '80s, I guess, and then I grew one here about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. But I've always had a problem. It usually itches quite a bit, so I usually don't keep them for very long. But I thought it was time to put one back on again for a little while, and we'll see how it goes. So yes, I am doing that just in case anybody wonders. It's going to take some time to fill in. But it actually looks like I have a bloody nose, but I don't. It's the lighting, the way it looks. Okay, you know how my lighting goes. All right, that's all I've got. Please go look at those things in the description box in the prior video. You notice I keep saying that. DoD responsible for EUA. Notice the talk about countermeasures. And Sasha says that they use that term so that they can make it a warfare thing, not a health issue. All right? But what are the countermeasures for? And that's where I've taken it to the next level. Taking everything that we see and lumping it together and analyzing it and looking at what the end objective is. One of the things you do as an intelligence officer is you gather information about the order of battle, about the weapons involved, the maneuvers, all sorts of things that are going on, and then you come up with a likely estimate of the situation of what the enemy's about. That's what I've done here. And it's the only one that makes sense. They get population control. We've seen how that works, and it's working even now amongst people that have received these things. And they also get it in the sense that if they don't like you, they can shut you down, they can shut you off. And if nothing else, they can detain you and incarcerate you, call you a terrorist, which again, they never define, and there are now scores of these definitions, and I've talked about those before, that have nothing to do with terrorism. That's a quick briefing for the day. Okay. Again, go see Redacted. They're having another interesting program today. They always do, but sometimes some more than others. The one with Sasha is important, and this one today that's coming up at 2 p.m. Mountain Time is also going to be important. Okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. Not sure when I'll be back up, but I wanted to deliver that to you today. Hopefully, these last two videos I've done don't get zip. All right. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground. Situational awareness on high. Continue to prep, pray, and stay out of the way. Defend yourselves. Don't go looking for trouble, but stay out of the way as best you can, and try to make plans to do that with those that you can trust. And I might add that I've had friends that turned out to be informants for the intelligence community, FBI, DoD, etc. A recent one really was disturbing to me, and I discovered it because of some other things that have happened. A friend that I've known for many, many years. That's all I'll say about it. They sent honeybots after me first, which almost worked because they know I like women. Almost worked, but I was still a little bit too wary of that. So then they turned to this other thing, and it's disturbing. Actually, I've had a couple of old friends that did that. As I told the healthcare people that the government came after, I told you about the doctor who was trying to prevent giving kids this treatment, and the government came after him and his nurse and a couple of people in his office there as well. They use InfraGard, and they're all over the place. And it's designed, number one, to get the intelligence community information on you, sort of like the Stasi in Germany, or the way they worked it in Russia, in Soviet Union, I should say. But they also use it so that you can't trust anybody. You lose friends. You get so worried about who might be tattling on you that you withdraw, and you don't have contact with people anymore. Well, unfortunately, that's, I think, what happened to the doctor and his people that were on this. Either somebody very close to them ratted them out, and they did it either for money or for some type of remuneration or reward from the system. And most likely they were InfraGard related. That makes you look at your friends in a whole new light. I know. Don't be fearful, but keep it in the back of your head that there are not too many people you can trust. Not really. Okay. Out here for now.